Hello and welcome to From the Be All End. This is the debrief for Burnley 2, Fulham 2. I'm Simon Evans and with me is Paul Woodhouse, Justin Connolly and Chris Bowden. Andrew Greaves still on his travels, so a slightly streamlined squad today. And lots to talk about from that game, so let's get straight into it. Justin, you were on Turf Moor, you witnessed that. A strange game in lots of ways, but your impressions. Let's start with you.
Really strange game. I suppose you've got to really highlight the positives, haven't you? We haven't had that many positives to highlight over the last 6 months or so. So you got to give them credit for coming back from 2-0 down to get a point. You've got to highlight Fofana's performance. He came on and along with I thought Goodmanson had an impact as well, but to get 2 goals and level things up. Brilliant. The other 2 new signings, I thought Asignon had a great game, great cross for that first goal. He was solid enough, and in the centre of defence, how are we pronouncing this? Esteve, Steve, as Chris likes to call him.
Steve.
I've heard a few Steves floating around.
Yeah, he was reasonably solid, apart from that moment when he, put in a great challenge, won the ball, and then passed it promptly out for a corner. There's a lot of that going on, wasn't there? But so all positive things, but that doesn't mask the negatives, does it? It was a terrible performance over the 90 minutes. I thought it was lacking in urgency and energy, just like at City, really, just nothing going on. And after the game, company reckoned that they'd run the socks off in that second half and really taking the game to them. He was watching a different game to me. They were just as lackluster in the second half as they were in the first, I thought. And those 2 goals came, more or less out of nothing, didn't they? So, but some positives. I think we can look forward to watching Fofana for the rest of the season. He's got to start now, hasn't he, I think? But a lot of negatives as well, weren't there?
There were, yeah. Chris, your feelings on it?
Yeah, pretty same. Just the archetypal Burnley home performance the season under Vincent, where they actually start reasonably brightly, look like they might craft an opening or 2. As I was saying to Justin, like I said, we're both saying, well, this is where we concede, and you watch the harmless ball go across the face of goal, and neither goalkeeper nor Asignon want to sort of deal with it. I mean, it's the goalkeepers, surely they know it's taking a nick and it's a corner if it goes out. It's the goalkeepers to come and claim. We're just so soft at set plays, and it's I know it takes a deflection but it wanders in off Asignon, Paulina, and you're up against it, and then matter of minutes later they give an even worse goal away where Trafford's neither, staying at home nor come and dealt with it, and he's caught in absolute no man's land. And no matter, I mean, he made a few good saves over the piece in the second half. The best one from Willian, where he not only kept it out but pushed it away from the onrushing forward. But we can have this debate till we're blue in the face. I don't see an aspect of James Trafford's game that is better than Aro Muric's. And I'm not building Aro Muric up to be faultless. We know he had his own shortcomings last season. But find me an aspect of his game that's better than Muric's. I don't see it. But again, like second half, I expected Burnley to come out and absolutely chuck the kitchen sink at it. Like Stan's teams used to do, like Sean's teams used to do, where just sheer force of nature and the impose the will on teams. You might not have been the most technically proficient, brilliant displays from those sides, but they just ground teams down and found a way. And it didn't look like that. They got an equaliser. They found a way back in the game on the break from a corner, gifted by another appalling goalkeeping error, it must be said. And then somehow found an equaliser at the death, which like I say, without having seen it, we obviously saw it in real time, didn't see a replay. And as soon as it comes up on the scoreboard, the VAR are checking it for handball. You're assuming that this is getting chalked off. And there was a guy behind the Fulham analyst just behind me, was adamant it was handball, and he was trying to show me on the screen. I was like, well, I can't see anything, pal. And thankfully there was nothing untoward.
It wasn't, was it?
No.
Nothing like, no. Well, why they've even checked it for him?
Woody, do those positives of those 2 goals both gifted bad defensive mistakes from Fulham? Because I think Tetty, isn't it, the right back, is all over the place on that second goal. But does that outweigh what came before?
Well, no, it was all very vintage Vincent, wasn't it? You know, we saw this last year, we've seen it this year, and the difference being is that when you bring in Benny on in a championship, it's invariably one apiece, and you know you're going to go on and win it. You know, this idea of like going 65 minutes and not having the faintest clue as to where people are supposed to be playing, what they're supposed to be doing, etc. It's getting a little bit old now, isn't it? And it's just getting lucky, throwing folks on and hoping something's going to happen. Yes, it happened yesterday, but there was nothing to indicate, you know, that it was going to happen. You know, and I think we'll find ourselves on the wrong end of more of those and on the right end of more of those. And I just can't work out how we can get everything so blatantly wrong for 60 odd minutes, and then, you know, we manage to turn it around. I'll give a shout out for Steve's left foot though, because the sweet left foot is back. That's a beautiful thing, even though he does pass it out of play. Respective. Assignon, I think, will turn out to be a very good little player. His ball for that first goal was exquisite. Had a look, dinked it over. And Fofana, I saw somebody call him Teller's dad, and I think that. And we'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Well, the great passion from Assignon and Fofana, though, just to see that, you know, that level of meaning. It pumped the crowd up, and he's quite clear. And we all sort of had a bit of a laugh at his signing on video for Fofana, but he's a character, and he brings that with him on the pitch as well. You know, it's great to have that sort of personality, really.
I always think it's funny with new signings, though, that if they have a poor first game, everyone is saying, look, give them 3 or 4 games. You can't judge somebody off one match. If they have a good game, we're totally judging them off one match. You know, and if half a match in his case. But he made an impact against City, created a goal out of next to nothing, and he made an impact there. I mean, all right, the goalkeeper's Leno's made a total hash of that cross. I mean, it's an embarrassing one. And he nods into an empty net, but he's still there. He's still there in the right position, isn't he? And then the other one, it goes in off some part of his body as he slides in, but he's in there, sliding in, and he's got the goal. He's got 2 goals and an assist in 2 substitute appearances, and he's getting into positions that, frankly, Amdouni isn't. I mean, we've got to talk about Amdouni and a few other individual displays, but, you know, the 3 signings, though, the 3 new signings of all, you know, people are saying Vincent doesn't know what he's doing. He's gone and signed 3 players who do look like they can improve this side, don't they? I mean, I thought all 3 of them, you know, it's Debbie, all right, he misplaced a couple of passes, but looked pretty composed. You think if him and Mbeya were playing together, we'd have two real footballing sort of centre halves there. But, you know, overall, your impressions of the 3 new guys?
Yeah, I think they did okay. They didn't really do much wrong, did they? I mean, the defensively, I thought they were okay going forward. I think Assignon looked like he could do some damage, and you know, you can't knock 2 goals in such a short space of time to get us back into the game. He did change things. It's like, and it's partly like Chris says. It's to do with character, isn't it? Assignon and Fofana certainly looked like they were up for it. You know, they were going for it. They made it. They played with that passion that we've talked about being lacking up to now. Put a few of the others to shame, I thought, on Saturday. So it's all It's early days, isn't it? But I agree. I do think they look like they're just, after what I said about them last week, that they've come from a lower division, and I'm not particularly inspired by them. They look like they might make a difference. They look like they might inject some passion into the performances, and we need a miracle now, don't we? But if they can continue to provide that passion and try and get drag the rest of the players with them, then we're still in with a shout, aren't we?
I don't think so. No, I mean I've given up completely looking at it from that point of view. To be honest, I don't think there's.
It has been done before.
At the end of the day,
12, 13 points.
Once, yeah.
Well, that's enough, isn't it? It has been done before.
West Brom did it, didn't they? But...
It's still a bad result. Taking out the whole performance and the story of it, it's a 1-1, 2-2 draw at home to Fulham.
They're a very ordinary Fulham, as I was saying to Justin yesterday. There's, you take no Jimenez. Obviously, Mitrovic, was sold in the summer. They've signed Brohan. He obviously didn't start the game. It's not a vintage Fulham side, and they're going to stay up by a considerable distance. And
they've got exactly twice as many points as we have, so that tells you a lot.
Exactly. I say, I've got to credit these lads. I listened to an interview with Chris Wilder, and he said he was trying to get a couple of players in to Chef U, and players just didn't want to join because of the prospect of being relegated. But these lads have looked at the situation. I mean, albeit they're probably getting a significant wage rise, but they've looked at where Burnley are, and they thought, I'm going to have a go. And even if we go down, we've seen what happened last year. We'll have a go at getting them back. And like I say, that personality they showed. And Assignon was up against, probably Fulham's best player in Willian, who still looks,
he does look good still.
Terrific, knocking mid-30s. And I like that sort of personality, and that on their social media they've all sort of like. I mean, I know it's commonplace, but they're sort of how delighted they are to be, and they got the crowd, they got the crowd involved, and that'll do for me, show a bit of heart. That's all you want, a bit of battle. I've never seen Turf more as apathetic as I had yesterday. It was an absolute disaster for 75 minutes, and not a murmur. But it is what it is, isn't it? Believe in the process.
It'll be an interesting little test to watch those three over the next few weeks and see whether they maintain that level of enthusiasm and energy and determination. Because if they don't, if it starts to drain out of them very fast, that's a sign that there's something wrong there, isn't it?
I'm sorry, Simon. I can remember interviewing Kurt Nogan when he said, Burnley again in a relegation fight nearly 30 years ago, and he was sort of saying, I've gone from one sinking ship to another. And you sort of, he obviously didn't settle that season, Kurt. But these lads they don't seem to have come with that attitude really, and that's it's a big point.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the one who stood out, obviously, Fofana's got his goals, but of the two defensive ones, Assignon, the thing I liked about him was he's a converted fullback, isn't he? He did say in his interview that he started off as a winger. He reminded me a little bit of Wan-Bissaka at United in the sense that. And Wan-Bissaka's a converted fullback, even though, you could see why he was converted because he's useless in the final third. But Assignon, delivered that cross. I mean, probably quite dangerous. He'll end up having revealed that left foot. He'll probably end up having to play a left back out of position for the rest of the season. Would he, though? There were some, not to dump the negativity onto you, but we have to balance that with some performances of players who their selection looks questionable after that performance.
Yes, you mean everybody else, pretty much. I mean, I'll start with Odebear's a funny one, because obviously he has to be going forwards. Because if he's coming backwards, it's a nightmare. He lets people run off him. His ability to defend in zonally is absolutely appalling. The first goal, he was tracking Paulina and just kind of let him go, just let him run in front. And that was that. And he's a defensive liability. But again, he crossed the ball for the second goal. And going forward is fabulous. So it kind of negates all that. No idea what was going on with the second. Somebody, Ekdal looked like he'd lost a gear, because that was just simply a flick over the guy's head, wasn't it? It wasn't even a through ball. And I don't know, is that the third or fourth time I've seen Trafford do that? And not necessarily in a Burnley shirt. I've seen him do it in an England shirt as well. This kind of flapping in no man's land. I don't know whether it's positional or he's got, something else is going on. But whether Ekdal's injured as well, we don't know what that is. But other than that, Brownhill had an absolute howler, an absolute stinker. Amdouni, Ramsey, shocking, absolutely shocking. And granted, they were both playing slightly out of position, etc. But my word, they were shit. And Foster didn't really give much, but he wasn't provided with much to do anything with. He was lost because there was nobody behind him able to present that ball. So between the lot of them, they were pretty much shocking. All pretty much 3 and 4 out of 10. So, and I don't know whether that's just a confidence thing, whether they're slightly confused with the way they're being asked to play. That that there's a lack, there's inconsistency with the messages that are being told from Vinny. I either expect to play whatever. I've absolutely no idea, but I assume it's going to be partially a confidence thing because it looks to have drained out of several of those players, and they look frightened to play.
Yeah, I mean, I think the interesting one in that sense is Ramsey, who he seems to have played in a slightly different position in every time he's tried him. Yeah. He's played him further up. He's played him central midfield. He's played him in wider roles. I mean, I don't know, Justin. I mean, he's one of those players who we presume has this very good technical ability. He's highly rated, been part of like a good youth system and knocking around England's youth squads and that sort of thing. But he's really struggled, hasn't he?
He hasn't. I actually find it quite difficult to say anything about his performance on Saturday because I can't actually remember seeing him doing anything. I can't actually remember him contributing anything to the game at all. But yeah,
he didn't give a goal away, which
well, that's a plus point, I suppose. But the thing that the real disappointment for me is that when you get in a situation like we're in now, or even bang on from the start of the season, we've got to be running further than anybody else. We've got to be putting more effort in than everybody else. We've got to make those things that we are capable of doing that can drag us up to the level we need to be at. All the things that the effort, the intensity, the aggression, all those things that can give us the edge over these teams who are clearly better than us. We're not doing it, and I can't understand why in a must-win game like that you would come out and perform like that without there's something wrong somewhere if we're not getting up for games like that in the way that we should be. We should be up in their faces, aggressive and running harder and faster and further than anybody else to try and close that gap. And I suppose I bring this up talking about Ramsey because he's a perfect example of that to me. They don't get stuck in, do they? They don't get fired up. They don't get. Man, me and Chris were saying this actually at the ground yesterday. That the crowd is strangely apathetic as well. After going 2-0 down, there were a few boos at half time, but nobody seems angry about what's going on, which seems strange to me. We're about as lethargic as the players on the pitch in the crowd, and I don't know where that's come from because it never used to be like that, and I don't think a few flags and a drummer are going to make any difference to that. I don't know how we get that back. Obviously, when we got back in the game, the crowd got up a little bit on Saturday, but for the most part, there's a lot of sitting back in your chair with your arms folded, shaking your head going on, and not a lot of getting angry about it. I think we all should be quite much angrier than we are about what's going on.
Well, what is going on? Because I find it hard to believe that, like, young players given a chance in the Premier League don't care and don't want to put the effort in. So something's going wrong. I think on a personal level, they all will do, won't they? I mean, I just don't. I can't imagine why they wouldn't. But what's going wrong then? It's obviously something to do with the way they're being prepped and they're being told how to handle the game or something. I mean,
it's in the DNA. Yeah, it's in the DNA. There's too many luxury players in that team. They aren't that type of. I mean, we seem to be phasing the sort of street fighter out of football. We don't play, kids football in the streets, jumpers for goalposts, creating a Carlos Tevez or a Wayne Rooney or an Aguero, that type of player anymore. They play on these beautifully manicured, under 23 surfaces. We all try and play like Pep Guardiola, and there's no. Well, you try and show any aggression in the Premier League, and more likely than not, you're going to get penalised as well. So maybe it is coming out of the game altogether. But I don't know. Maybe I'm at that age. I want to see that aggression. I want to see, like Sean would always say, hard work will never go out of fashion. You always want your team to graft. First and foremost, sweat on the shirt, and I hate harping on to what, but I just so believe in so many of the things that Sean spoke about and still delivers to this day at Everton. It's powerful, and if you ally that with technical quality like we have, it's a potent mix. But I just don't see enough of the former, and enough of the technical quality to be brutal. It's just. There almost seems to be like an acceptance that, okay, we'll let you have this year, Vincent, as a learning curve because you were so magnificent, you and your team last year, that we're going to say, right, let's start from scratch again and judge it November, December next season. But I just feel it's a massive opportunity gone begging, and you can't take anything like promotion from the Championship for granted. It's not a given that they're going to bounce back.
No, I agree with you on that. I mean, Woody, do you think that we've seen a few times where we go a goal down and then you can almost physically see them wobbling at that point, and things start to go wrong really, really quickly, which suggests to me a lack of leaders on the field.
Exactly. I mean, I'm going to say it's a leadership thing, isn't it? It's a big hole to fill, is Ashley Barnes, from obviously the dressing room and on the pitch, and that hasn't been replaced. And it's like we probably haven't replaced Jack Cork's leadership in the middle of the park, and we've lost obviously Ben Mee and Tarkowski's leadership at the back, etc. And you start to take stuff like that out, and you replace that with a load of young lads who haven't played in the Premiership, and in some cases, that are very, very fresh to this kind of football. Then what do you expect? I still can't work out what do we expect from them. It's like if you think it's a hell of a step up, and you need that help. And yeah, it really is a baptism of fire for some of them. And like you're saying, if it's very apathetic on the turf, and to credit, nobody's really started turning on them as yet, because that would invariably lead to worse performances. But it's to be expected. If there's no leadership on the pitch, you're gonna struggle. You're gonna struggle. I don't know where you're gonna see them stepping up. And maybe these new guys, the Fofanas, they are more characters, and they can start providing some of that. But we'll soon start to see whether that's the case or not.
It's interesting to me when you mention all those names like Tarkowski and Mee and Barnes. They all seem like sort of colossuses now, don't they?
Exactly.
Compared to the players that are taking to the field now, they seem like almost like giants in a way.
Well, they're men, aren't they? Not boys.
Yeah.
It is. I think Woody's made a really good point there. What do we expect from it? Because he does feel like a team of trialists sometimes, doesn't it? Have you ever seen those games where youth teams have like 4 or 5 trialists in and so on, and they don't know each other? It does feel a bit like that. I mean, I suppose in Vincent's defence, he probably imagined Josh Cullen was going to be the leader figure and the sort of continuity figure in the middle of the park. and he just hasn't been able to step up to the Premier League level. Sander Berg, I mean, there's an interesting one as well yesterday. Sander Berg suddenly appears in the first 5 minutes. You're looking at him going, is he playing centre-half here? Or he was playing extremely deep, wasn't he, out of the ball especially? I mean, every game seems to throw us a new wrinkle tactically with something, and players are being asked to play. Amdouni's, which is something we've said that might be worth trying. Amdouni was put more out on the right, wasn't he? But he's struggled. Let's look ahead a little bit then to what these new signings coming in. Fofana, you think, right, he's got to start the next game, but it's Liverpool away. I mean, how do you incorporate Fofana into that way of playing? Because you don't really want to be going with three up front. If you're playing Odegaard, Fofana, and Foster up front at Liverpool, that's very brave, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what else does he do? Unless you bring. I mean, I've got to be honest. I prefer to see Johan Gudmundsson in the centre of midfield than Ramsey.
Yeah, agreed.
At least he'll win a bloody tackle, and we all know what that left peg's all about as well. But I don't know. I won't be surprised to see him go with the front three, and maybe just sort of thicken that central three up. But Berger can't play as deep as he did yesterday. He's got to sort of, we all think he's probably better off the front, Berger, but he needs to be. He's basically our engine man, isn't he, at the minute? And I think he's head and shoulders above most of his teammates each week, to be honest. But he wasn't fabulous yesterday. But it's one of those, isn't it? What are you going to do at Anfield? You might as well. They're going to dominate the ball. You might as well have a go.
Yeah. I mean, do you expect to see all three of the new signings starting, Justin, at Anfield?
I would expect. Well, you can't not start with Fofana now after the two games that he's had, especially given that Amdouni's form has just gone completely, hasn't it? For the other two, I think Asignon probably will start. I'm not sure about the centre back. I think he's probably the least likely. I agree with Chris again about Gudmundsson coming back into the side. That's how they steadied the ship, isn't it? When things were going badly wrong, he finally brought Taylor and Brownhill and Gudmundsson back into the team, and it's that know-how and that battle-hardened, Premier League experience that got us playing a little bit better and steadied things and improved things. But I think if you can do that and you can get these new lads integrated into the side properly, I don't know about whether Odegaard and Foster and bringing Fofana in for Amdouni would be braver than not bringing Fofana in for Amdouni. I think that they've both been playing up front, haven't they? Amdouni's been playing more forward.
Fair comment, yeah.
And like Chris says again, what would be the point of trying? What would be the point of going to Liverpool and it's one of them free hits again, isn't it? We're going to lose. You would expect. I don't think this side has got it in it to surprise anybody like Liverpool. I hope I'm wrong about that, but I just think get them in, get them integrated into the side, get them, forming partnerships, get them working together, and then we'll have to see where that takes us. Because we've got an easy game after Liverpool, haven't we? So, I think so. I've just watched Arsenal play Liverpool actually, and it's frightening, isn't it? So clearly, like playing, although it's almost like a different sport, and it like City as well. It's almost like they're playing a different game to the one we're playing. So, two really, really tough games to throw them into, but that's why they've come in it to Burnley. They want to play in these games. So, hopefully, they can carry on making some sort of progress.
Yeah, I mean, that's the good thing about Assignon's arrival does mean that when Charlie Taylor gets back to fitness, he can come in and you've got a left back and a right back for the first time, really, properly. Well, I mean, I know Vitinho's been playing right back, but I think he's due a rest as well, isn't he? I think after that performance on Saturday. But it's going to be tough, yeah. I mean, any other thoughts on selection? Anything, any players? I mean, are we saying those performances? Are there any players after that performance who should definitely not be lining up at Anfield, Chris?
Well, I don't want to pile it on, but I feel for Muric. I mean, if you're, I mean, we don't know how impressive he looks in training. We obviously no context to that, but if he's looking at Trafford every week and thinking, how on earth am I not getting the game here? Because when he has come in, he's done reasonably well in the cup games, and there has to be. I said that about the manager earlier in the season. There's got to be some jeopardy, and if the goalkeeper's making ricks like that, and he knows he's going to start come hell or high water, there's no pressure on Trafford to perform well. So it just seems a bizarre. We don't. Trafford's going to play whatever happens, and I find that situation maddening. And again, he's got this strength of character that he's still able, despite making a couple of ricks, to produce the saves he made in the second half. Let's say the William one in particular, a very good save. But to my mind, if you're not hitting a certain level week after week, and there's someone else breathing down your neck, they deserve an opportunity. So I mean, we don't know. So we don't know if Ekdal's injured, how far behind Bayer is, etc. Where Charlie Taylor is in proceedings, and but if Taylor's fit, he has to start. If Bayer's fit, he's got to start. And I'd say midfield, does Cullen come in for Brownhill? Brownhill's he's persona non grata at the start of the season. Now he's captain. It's just absolutely puzzling.
Masengo's starting to get a bit of a look in, isn't he?
He is, isn't he? He's
coming up a bit more of him.
But he could have gone last week. He could have gone out on loan. I mean, we're led to believe the lad himself turned the move down. And then, obviously, Benson's been, as we're led to believe, talked into staying and haven't been in the 20 since. So what on earth? Yeah.
Did anyone see that clip from the press conference yesterday where Company was asked about whether he thought Steve could be as good as him, which was an odd question in a way.
Yes.
But did you see it, Woody?
Yes.
And he seemed to me, maybe I'm being harsh here, but it seemed to me like Company, he went round the houses with his answer to it and looked very embarrassed, as though what he really wanted to say was nah. But he obviously couldn't say that. But I'm reading that wrong.
It's a weird question to ask, though, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like basically saying, you were class, arguably one of the best ever, and he's like on the defensive straight away, thinking, well, that's bullshit. And then he's got to try and say it without, making Steve sound like a donkey in any way, shape, or form. I think he kind of got out of it relatively well. But I know what you're saying.
Was that Young Huey's question? I know Young Huey and who ran around the pitch with Freddie.
It might have been.
I think he asked. I think he got to ask a question in the press.
Well, he got him worried anyway.
Fair play.
And fabulous news about Huey, and great to see him get a terrific reception yesterday as well. But I didn't see the press conference, so I'm just. I don't know whether it's. Busman's holiday or whatever. I can't be bothered listening to it.
Yeah, the press conferences have got less and less interesting, I think. I think Company was quite thoughtful and candid early on. He's obviously been coached to, if you ask him about an injury or anything like that, he just doesn't say anything at all, does he? He doesn't reveal it. We don't know anything about any of these players who are injured.
Yeah.
It could be worse. The club could have asked him not to speak. The goings on at Blackburn, that was absolutely bizarre.
There are a lot of strange things happening there, aren't there? Duncan Maguire's saga of his transfer, which was on, off, and then done on deadline day, and then find out 2 days later that they hadn't put the paperwork in. So
Again.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, thanks very much for joining us today. Hope that wasn't too depressing this time. We're trying our best to keep it relatively upbeat, but it's a task this season. It really is. But we'll be back on Thursday looking ahead to that game at Anfield and maybe have a little bit of something else for you as well. Thanks very much. Don't forget to do leave us a rating and some comments on your podcast providers. It really does actually help us. And tell your friends about it. Keep spreading the word. All the best and up the Clarets.